Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Swas. I recorded this whole video and forgot to record an intro. So I had a good one. My Friday night was good. I went 3-1, and the one that lost was one of the smaller bets, the Hornets team total under. Got the Bulls at plus 145. I got Dayton at plus 120. And then my biggest bet was the Nuggets Sixers over. I had 1.5 units on that one, and that was sweat free. So great Friday night. Definitely going to start increasing the unit size because I feel like I'm starting to see the market better, let's say, than I was in November, December. Things are going well. We got a loaded Saturday, by the way. So much college basketball, a lot of NBA as well. We'll be live at 10 a.m. Eastern time. We're going through 28 college basketball games. So if you're able to make it, we'd love to see you in the morning. I'm going to go through some NBA games in this one. Let's do it.
I mean, is Cooper Rush worth 2.5 points? I would hope Quinn Ewers put up a decent stat line against Arizona State. If he didn't, we have a real problem.
You can say the same thing about Creighton. Okay, they had the one good game against Kansas at home.
When Toast talks about the kicking market, it's like some earth is flat shit. Andy, true or false, this is going to be a dog walking.
Dog walking. This is my dog walking of the day. I think it's going to be very ugly. Dog walking. I think this is going to be ugly.
Hey, get the sauce. First up, Orlando is on the road at Utah here. The Jazz are catching 5.5 points at home. I actually see a couple sixes out there. Total sitting at 216.5. Yeah, pretty much 216.5. Score projection in this one, 108.1 for Orlando, 115 for the Jazz. In the last 10 games, the Magic are 29th offensively, 24th on the defensive side of the ball, 19th in strength of schedule. The Jazz 25th, 30th, and 26th. So both of these teams have been playing bad basketball against a bad schedule. Let's take a look at the injury reports. Jalen Suggs listed as questionable again. As you probably remember the other night or last night when I'm recording this, I took the Magic hoping Suggs was going to play. He was ruled out about 30 minutes after I placed the bet. I was pretty frustrated about it. So yeah, I really don't know what to do about Jalen Suggs on the injury report. Just got bit by that. I will say other than Suggs, I mean, Franz Wagner's back, Goga's back. The Magic are healthier right now than they have been for the last few months. So that's good news, but they definitely need Suggs out there. He's the anchor of what they're trying to do defensively on the perimeter. On the other side, kind of the same situation here. Utah much healthier than they've been for the last few months. The Utah Jazz might be at full strength for this one, which is something I don't think we've said all year. But yeah, we should see the Jazz at full strength in this one. To be honest, I don't have a ton of interest in betting this game. If Suggs plays, I expect the Magic defense to shoot right to the top of the NBA again. Orlando, when fully healthy, is a top 5, top 7 defense in the league. So if Suggs plays, I'm not really trying to fade the Magic, but I mean, we know this Jazz team plays much better at home in the elevation, and Orlando plays much better at home in Orlando. So I'm not really trying to lay 5.5 here, especially not knowing the status of Suggs. It's going to be a straight pass for me. Next up, we got Atlanta on the road in Indiana. The Pacers are now laying 6.5. Total sitting at 237.5 or 238. Projected score, Hawks 117.3, Pacers 121.8. In the last 10 games, the Hawks, man, what happened to that offense? 27th in offensive rating in the last 10 games. 5th defensively, though. Hawks have been playing some defense. They're 6th in strength of schedule, so they have played a strong schedule. On the Indiana side, they're 9th offensively, 4th defensively, and 9th in strength of schedule. So the Pacers are playing some ball on both sides of the floor right now. These teams have not played this year, but Indiana did complete the sweep last year, 4-0 straight up, 4-0 against the spread against this Atlanta team. And this is a Hawks team that's just not showing us their best stuff right now. They've lost 7 in a row, 0-7 straight up in their last 7, 2-5 against the spread. Like I said, though, it's not the defense that's letting them down. It's the offense, which makes this unique. This Hawks team the last few years, when they're struggling, it's the defense. It's actually the Hawks offense that's been shitting the bed recently. Injury report on the Atlanta side, Jalen Johnson has been ruled out. Bogdanovich is not playing as well. Trae Young's on the report, but he's listed as probable. On the Indiana side, we got Nembhard listed as questionable and Mathurin. So a couple of big question marks on the Indiana side. We did just see Indiana play without both those guys. No Nembhard, no Mathurin. That was on Wednesday night. They won. They covered double-digit win over the Pistons, 133-119. So they did not have problems scoring points without these two guys. And the Pistons have been playing some defense recently. So that's an impressive offensive performance from the Pacers there. So do we think they're going to be able to score on this Hawks defense? And that's an interesting question because normally Hawks go on the road to Indiana. Of course they're going to score points. It's the Hawks. They don't play any defense, and Indiana's always got a high-powered offense. I'm not really sure. Like I said, it's not the Atlanta defense that's letting them down. In the last 9 games, they got a defensive rating of 108. That's great. They're rebounding well on the defensive side of the ball. Opponent effective field goal percentage below 54%. If you compare those 9 games to the 9 games before that, I mean, night and day difference. Like I said, Atlanta is playing some defense right now. Now, does that mean we could trust them to go on the road at Indiana and slow down this Pacers offense, though? That's a tall ask. I mean, the Pacers in the last 12 games, they're 10-2 against the spread, 10-2 straight up, offensive rating over 120, effective field goal percentage over 58%. I mean, this Pacers offense looks great. So even though I do want to give credit to the Hawks, they are playing some good defense, I don't know if I fully trust them to go on the road and make stops in this one. Not to mention, Pacers run a ton of pick and rolls, 6th in frequency, 7th in efficiency, happens to play directly into the weakness of the Hawks defense. They're 24th in defensive efficiency against the pick and roll, 27th in points per game allowed out of the pick and roll. So the Pacers should be able to score, even though we do want to give some credit. Atlanta is playing some defense. And when it comes to the matchup on the other side of the ball, I mean, how can we put any faith in Atlanta offensively right now? They've been so bad. 102 offensive rating in the last 9 games. That's the Hornets offensive rating without LaMelo. I mean, it's that bad. I mean, we don't expect the Hawks to struggle like this offensively forever. I mean, they have Trae Young handling the ball, but remember, there's no Jalen Johnson right now, so they are limited on the offensive side of the ball. Until they show me something offensively, I can't be betting on this team. And like I said before, Indiana's been playing some defense. They've been a top 10 defense in the last 10 games. So I think the Pacers should cover this one. I grabbed the 6. It's up at 6.5 now. I don't absolutely love the bet. It's one of my smaller bets, but I did grab the Pacers at -6. Next game. Next up is Denver on the road in Charlotte. The Hornets are catching 14 or 14.5, depending on your sports book. Total sitting at 222.5. To be honest, I didn't even look at this one. Both these teams are on a back-to-back. We'll talk about it tomorrow on the live stream, or we'll talk about it in the Discord or something. As of right now, I haven't even looked at it. Next game. Washington is on the road in Minnesota. The T-Wolves are laying 16.5 points in this one. 16.5. Total sitting at 221.5, 222, somewhere in there. Score projection, 120.65 for Minnesota, 104.7 for the Wizards. This Wizards team, man, there are no words. In the last 10 games, this is the worst offense in the NBA. 30th, they're actually the worst offense in the NBA on the full season, last 10 games, last 5 games. So this is a terrible offense, and it's been a terrible offense all season. They're 27th defensively in the last 10 games. So this Wizards team is pretty awful across the board. Meanwhile, Minnesota, 4th offensively, 10th defensively in the last 10 games. Injuries in this one. Alex Sarr's been ruled out. Brogdon may be returning. So maybe the Wizards get something back with Malcolm Brogdon. That's not confirmed, but they need it. They need something. So maybe getting Malcolm Brogdon back if he returns could give the Wizards something here in terms of stability. On the Minnesota side, we still have no DiVincenzo. Julius Randle is not going to play in this one. Alexander Walker and Mike Conley also listed as questionable. So Minnesota is by no means healthy themselves. I'm not going to spend any time talking about this one. I will say, though, check this out. In the Wizards' last 7 games, this is actually wild. In the Wizards' last 7 games, in the first half, their opponents are averaging 65.7 points per game in the first half. The Wizards are averaging 45.3. So in the last 7 basketball games, the Wizards have been down double digits at half in every single one of them. They've actually been losing by an average of 20.4 points per game. In the first half, they're getting beat by an average of 20 points per game in the first half in the last 7. So every single Washington Wizards game has been over by the second quarter. I mean, they're getting blown out game after game. Kind of tough to handicap that. I mean, I would probably just blind bet Minnesota at this point, maybe Minnesota first half. Don't have a ton of interest in it next game. Brooklyn on the road in Houston. The Rockets are laying 14.5 points at home. Total sitting at 216.5. Score projection, Houston 112.4. The Nets 99.2. In the last 10 games, the Nets have been struggling offensively. 28th in offensive rating. 12th in defensive rating, though. Nets have been playing some defense. 17th in strength of schedule in that span. Houston 8th offensively, 15th defensively. First in strength of schedule. Houston's been going through a little bit of a gauntlet in terms of their recent schedule. Injuries on the Brooklyn side. No Cam Thomas, no Cam Johnson, no Clowney. That's the same injuries we had for the Nets last game when they played Charlotte. On the Houston side, Şengün is listed as questionable. Obviously, he just sat out in that game on the road in Memphis in their last one. So we're going to have to wait and see if Şengün plays in this one. So let's get into this matchup. Obviously, we know Houston is cruising. They lost Jabari Smith, and they didn't really slow down. In fact, they started playing better. In the last 13 games, they're 10-3 straight up, 8-3-2 against the spread. So the Rockets have been playing some basketball. You didn't need me to tell you that. That being said, most of their games have been on the road recently. They have not played a ton of home games. And if you just look at their last 8 home games, just 2-5-1 against the spread, 4-4 straight up. So the Rockets have actually been playing better on the road recently. And check this out. Brooklyn's actually been covering on the road. In their last 6 road games, they're 2-4 straight up, 4-2 against the spread. So betting the Nets on the road has been profitable. And check this out. The last 5 games they played with Ben Simmons on the court, 4-1 against the number. I was talking about this the other night when the Nets plus 3.5 was my top bet against Charlotte. Brooklyn's kind of been a cover machine when Ben Simmons is on the floor. And check this out. What have the Nets done a good job of, especially when Ben Simmons is there? Rebounding. In the last 10 games, this is a top 10 defensive rebounding team and a top 10 offensive rebounding team. The reason I bring that up, Houston's been so good on the offensive glass. They're used to just dominating that department. The Nets, especially when Ben Simmons is playing, which he is in this game, they're actually a great defensive rebounding team. I don't know if the Rockets are going to be able to grab all those offensive rebounds against the Nets that they do against other teams. Not to mention, it's kind of a weird spot for the Rockets. They're coming off that big game against the Grizzlies on the road in Memphis. They lost a heartbreaker. They were winning, and Memphis scored in the final seconds to win. Van Vliet had a shot to win it. He missed. So they're coming off that heartbreaker game, a huge game on the road in Memphis. Now you come back home to play this shit game against a Nets team, non-conference game. Then you immediately go to Madison Square Garden for a national TV game. You got a big road trip coming up at Minnesota, at Dallas. So it's kind of a weird spot for the Rockets also. I mean, look, am I taking the points with the Nets? Probably not. But I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be laying 14.5. If you put a gun to my head and force me to bet this game, I'm taking Brooklyn, man. Next, Sacramento on the road in Oklahoma City. The Thunder are laying 9 in this one. It looks like the 9.5s are gone. So it looks like Sacramento took some money. Total sitting at 234, pretty much across the board. Matchup overview. Projected score 111.8 for the Kings, 118.1 for the Thunder. In the last 10 games, the Kings are 10th offensively, 19th defensively, 14th in strength of schedule. Thunder 7th, 2nd, but the 23rd strongest schedule. So the Thunder played a bit of a weaker schedule as of late. Oklahoma City has covered 3 in a row against this Kings team, 3-0 against the spread in their last 3. They were 6-17 in the previous 23. So betting Sacramento against this Oklahoma City team had been profitable for years, but they've lost 3 in a row now. So the Thunder have covered 3 straight against the Kings. Injury reports in this one, Sacramento will be at full strength. You'll love to see it. Nobody on the injury report for the Kings. On the Oklahoma City side, it's the same as it's been. I mean, no Chet Holmgren, obviously, and also Caruso is still out. So let's get into this one, and we need to talk about the slumping defense here for Oklahoma City. In the last 6 games, they have a defensive rating of 112. This is supposed to be the best defense in the NBA, and I think we agree they probably are the best defense in the NBA. They just haven't looked like it in the last handful of games. You can see here, opponent true shooting percentage over 57% in the last 6 games. So OKC's defense hasn't looked all that great recently, and I think we were all expecting it to snap back into form when Hartenstein came back. If you remember earlier in the season, Hartenstein came back from injury the first time, and Oklahoma City's defense looked elite. There was a 14-game stretch there when they got Hartenstein back. They had a defensive rating of 102.5. That's crazy elite. So Hartenstein came back the first time from injury, and the Thunder defense looked great. Only this time, Hartenstein's been back for 2 games, and it's actually looked a little worse. Defensive rating over 114 in the last 2 games, and it was 2 road games against at Portland and at Golden State. So it's not like they played elite competition. Hartenstein's been back for 2 games, and this Oklahoma City defense still doesn't look right. Now, the good news for Oklahoma City is they're playing the Kings, and the Kings just seem to be falling apart here. You remember 2.5-3 weeks ago where the Kings had their shit together? They won 6 in a row. They were 5-0-1 against the spread in that span. Well, that's in the past. In their last 9 games, they're 2-5-2. Against the spread. They're 5-4 straight up, so they're still winning some games, but they are not playing at the same level that they were 3 weeks ago. And specifically, where they're struggling is the defensive end. In the last 9 games, they have a defensive rating close to 118. That is bad compared to a 104.7 in the 6 games before that. So for whatever reason, this Kings defense has fallen apart. In Oklahoma City, we just talked about the problems they're having. It's not on the offensive end. They're still scoring. So against this Kings defense, they should have no problem putting up points. And another area where the Kings seem to be falling off is rebounding, which is huge because Oklahoma City rebounding is a weakness of their team. You need to rebound well to have a chance of beating Oklahoma City. Kings haven't been rebounding well, so there's no way I can take the points here with the Kings, but I'm not trying to lay a big number with OKC the way they're playing defense. If I'm going to lay 9-10 points with Oklahoma City, they better show me that their elite defense is back, and they just haven't shown us that. So give me the over here. I got it at 233. The Kings are not playing well, but they're still scoring. Oklahoma City's not playing the best defense. We should see a fast-paced game. Say less. Over 233 next game. I'm actually going to cut it off there. It's almost 3 a.m. I bet the Knicks, by the way. Lakers-Knicks, I laid the 9.5. We'll go through all these games tomorrow. Actually, we're doing the college basketball show in the morning, so maybe we'll do an NBA show later. But I'm on the Knicks minus 9.5. That's my other bet. If you want to see all the bets I currently have open, head over to KyleKirms.com and click on Open Bets. Then click on Sauce, and you'll see all my stuff. Actually, as soon as I upload this video, I'm going to stay up for a little while looking at college basketball, get some more bets down. So by the time you're watching this, there might be more bets up there. Yeah, let's have a great Saturday. Loaded day. So much college basketball on. We got 9 NBA games, so I'm going to have a lot of action over it. It's going to be a good one. I'll see you all at 10 a.m. Eastern time for the live show. Bet responsibly. See you in the morning.